to What'd You Learn, the podcast where we learn from other people's mistakes. So you do not have to, even though you may choose to.
It's your life.
It is your life. I'm Alex.
I am Zach.
I'm Dallas.
And we are guest free today. We are just us in the recording.
We officially
Cave
ran out of friends to
dungeon.
record with.
One
Everyone
episode in,
is
we were-
inexplicably busy, even though we gave them 3 weeks of warning.
That's too much warning. I've found that 5 days is the maximum.
5 days
and
maximum.
One
It's-
is the least.
Yeah,
It's
you're
far
not
enough
wrong.
away that you tentatively be like, yeah, sure, I totally can, but not too late that you can fill it up with other shit.
Well, to be fair, not to disparage our friends, and I love them all, and I hope they guest on all our episodes. But most of our friends are fairly unreliable alcoholics.
we like to befriend flakes as much as possible.
So we were supposed to have a
Yeah.
really cool guest in here with us today, but
And
hopefully
they
we'll
were
get him in the future.
they were gonna give us a demonstration of fire juggling inside, which is just insanity.
I used to juggle fire sticks, devil
really?
sticks.
Did
Yeah.
you?
Wait,
Am
did
I-
you actually put them on fire?
And
or was it
then
just
when
the
did you
plastic
get
devil
laid?
sticks?
No. So you practice with the plastic ones, and then you work your way up to the metal ones with wick on the ends, and you dip in kerosene and you light it on fire, and then you juggle it around. And you try and practice all your tricks that you did with the plastic ones, and see if they
these are the ones where
transpo-
you have 2 sticks in your hand. You're like knocking
Yeah,
another
yeah.
stick
Flipping it
in
back and
between
You have
it.
2 little sticks, and then there's like a big old
old fat
fire stick.
So after the third time Dallas burnt his parents' house down, the band Devil Sticks, and he has not picked up the practice.
I
since.
did scorch the yard quite a few times, but we were getting close to sell the house, and they just didn't matter anymore.
That is
as long as I mowed it before we left.
That is a true suburban white person version of I don't give a fuck anymore.
What's fucking that Gilmore's
I will,
kid doing out there with fire? Whatever, man.
I will say that nothing infuriates me more than walking by a park and seeing some person trying to do like light up poi for no audience.
What's light up poi?
So poi is when you take a weighted cord in
yeah.
both hands and you swing them around in intricate
They make little like laser
patterns and stuff.
shit.
But when you have them light up, I'm like, dude, this is Burien on a Wednesday night at 9 p.m. This is not Burning Man.
Who are you here for?
Who are you here for? And if you're here for yourself, like, I mean,
I'm sorry about your life.
it's just, I don't know why. It upsets me. It makes me inexplicably pissed off. Just the same way that ice cream cones piss me off. This is a little.
Why?
I'm
Oh,
gonna get into it.
I feel a tangent rant going.
This is a tangent rant
Okay,
happening.
I'm timing it.
I fucking hate ice cream cones. Not because I
Even
don't
though-
like ice cream, but it's this sound that people make when they lick ice cream cones in public.
And we have
There's-
officially lost interest in why you don't like ice
you
cream
can,
cones.
you can cut this and put it wherever you want. I'm just saying that ice cream cones
I'll
are
listen to
so
it
you
while
don't-
I fall
absolute
asleep.
garbage.
So you don't like the ass-eating sound of
Exactly.
eating an ice cream cone?
And I don't like grown adults like having food on their tongue, showing it outside of their mouth. They lick it off and their tongue is like there's food on it. It's like seafood. It's the worst thing and I hate it. So like eat your ice cream with a fucking spoon in a bowl like a fucking civilized person. Okay, I'm done. I'm sorry.
That was a good
I have to
rant.
rant about it.
Okay.
On a similar rant, I also
Dallas
think
is like, you're fired, get out.
Quality. I'm just quality control over here. Just trying to keep it fresh.
well, on a
After
similar
that one person was just like, your show sucks.
Well, it's not even that.
somebody told us our show sucks.
Yeah, not in so many words. And we
In
love,
more words and
we-
more
We
angrily.
love her dearly, but she's like, I don't care about anything you're talking about, essentially.
All right, fair enough.
It's fine.
We're not
Love
for
you.
everyone.
My 2 stories are very, very intertwined, so they both follow the same pattern. Should I go ahead and...
Yeah, you should go first.
So it's July 2012.
In the year of our Lord, 2012.
And the year that Dallas was freshly out of high school, to date myself.
You dated yourself in high school?
I did
Beautiful.
twice. It didn't work out both times.
Hot. Self-love is best love.
I was
That's why I
so
always jerk off.
young, full of optimism, with no direction whatsoever.
Young, dumb, and full of cum. Gotcha.
but no direction.
No direction for the company.
Where do I put this?
Oh my God, Zach.
Okay, never mind. I'm not going to tell that right now. So I decided. I took about a month trying to figure out what I was going to do after I graduated, and decided to join the railroad union. Here in Seattle, we have Amtrak and we have Talgo. And I don't know if you know
Talgo?
what Talgo is.
TALGO? Like,
It is, yeah,
okay, I've never heard of it.
Talgo. And it's basically the Spanish version of Amtrak. But Amtrak is the American version of Talgo. Let's put it that way.
Okay, so
They were
Amtrak was
first.
second, Talgo was first.
Yeah, and there's been railroad
Like a-
fucking stuff around since
Since slaves.
the dawn of man. But Talgo was
Since we
founded
kicked out all
to give you a kind of light into this. So Amtrak was founded in 1970. They have a couple different passenger trains, which is what I was working on, and don't have any knowledge of anything else besides passenger trains. But top speed an Amtrak passenger train goes is 45 miles an hour.
That's it?
That's it.
Yeah, that seems incredibly
seems
low.
really slow.
Especially since Japan has
Very
a bullet
slow.
train that goes 200 miles an hour.
That's true, but
Well,
also
right.
considering that we had that train accident where the trains like literally derailed because it went around a turn too fast.
Oh, yeah, the one in Tacoma.
Yeah. So that's a thing.
Didn't work on them then, but okay. So
They should
in-
just bank the tracks, really. It should just,
So, and in Talgo, Talgo was founded in 1940 and designed, they have 4 different trains that all exceed 135 miles an hour that all hold people. So they're a little bit ahead of the times
A little bit,
here.
yeah.
So I wonder what our problem is our ability to have passenger trains that go at a reasonable speed.
Also, there's way too many cars. So
Yeah,
there's
that's
that.
more the reason.
They
is
just don't
that
get any funding.
Ford and GM, especially, we used to have, there's actually a train car system in San Francisco, LA, and Seattle. Seattle still has a little bit of remnant of it, but no, it's Ford. Ford paid to dismantle the entire tracks and force everyone to buy cars and got rid of a lot of public transportation. Yeah, so it all comes back to money and greed.
Fucking cars, man.
God bless America.
So
Capitalism.
I worked there for about 2 years, so 12 to 14 years, not 8.
Okay, I was like,
Dallas,
2012,
Dallas is
2014.
55 years old.
And
no, he's old enough that childhood labor laws don't apply. It's like, I worked in the mine since I was 6 years old.
I have 2 stories and a couple fun little tidbits through just the 2 years working there. To give you kind of a reference of what I was doing, so I would roll in at 10:30 p.m. and I would roll out around 7 a.m. every day, Sunday to Friday morning, Saturday morning, something like that. It was graveyard, like third shift. So basically my job consisted of, I worked with one other dude who was my age, and we basically drove the Talgo truck around at night because we're the only 2 Talgo employees and the rest were all Amtrak. So we were like the stupid kids driving around in a Silverado.
Fun.
Yeah. No, it wasn't. It was a F-150. That's what it was.
Going back to Ford.
Yes. So basically we'd get a list of projects, tasks every night. We drive the truck around. Our like little cargo bay was on the other side of the street with the main railroad facilities. So every time we had to go back and get different tools, it'd take us like 20 minutes driving. So we didn't get a lot done. Also, if you're waiting for a train and it is delayed or it doesn't show up, you can go home. So
All right.
I have no work to do.
Yeah.
I will then go home and continue to not do work.
at 3 a.m. The other piece to this is when a train did show up, we'd have to get on and do all of our work and then get out of the way of the Amtrak guys so they can do their shit. And so sometimes I got a little hairy. But anyway, we're not talking about why I was getting paid. But so the story here, one night sitting by our, like, basically it's a freight cart just hollowed out with benches inside, and so we're just hanging out in that, smoking cigarettes.
Like what hobos
Basically,
sleep in?
but that's where we put our tools.
Cut people open with your hobo knives.
Me and my knapsack on my shoulder.
Yeah. And we were just waiting around for the next train, and we hear a bunch of chatter over the radio. So I like get in the truck and see if it's going to be late or whatever the case is. And essentially, the codes they were communicating to the yard was blood on the tracks. Essentially,
Oof.
it didn't specify what kind of blood.
Do they just get on the thing and be like, "There's blood everywhere"?
Well, no.
What do they say?
It's a bunch of different codes, and then little like emergency beeping stuff.
So,
and
like-
then you see the lights go off in the the HQ of the yard, like
Oh,
the
the
main
little-
building.
It's like when somebody pukes at Disneyland and they have codes over the
It's a
radio.
code Chunder. Chunder code.
And
Fun to make you chunda.
so we're listening to this, and I'm like, "Fuck, what's going on? Like, there's no train here or anything yet." And then we hear Broncos in the canyon, and I'm like, "What the fuck is a bronco in a canyon?" Essentially,
OJ was back
I
in
looked
the
it up
news.
later after that day, but Broncos in the canyon, motor vehicles equipped with high rail attachments, enabling them to ride on the rails, operated by engineers. They're driving F-150s down the tracks,
Yeah, yeah.
essentially.
So they have like some sort of platform they drive onto that rolls on the train tracks.
Yeah, basically you just drive up onto it and then lock the wheels in, and then away you go.
Drive on the train.
Neat.
That's fucking dope.
It is kind of fun.
That's
Like,
really cool.
I want to do that.
Like, I
across
imagine
country.
just
I was
like-
gonna say do Uber like that. That'd be fun.
Oh, that would be amazing. But like, I keep imagining like that the old timey sort of rail car,
cart thing.
with
It's
the
the
push cart where you
same
have like
term
the seesaw
applies.
thing.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's a
Yeah.
Bronco
But-
in a canyon.
that's really
Yeah, it's the same thing. So anything.
Huh? Any non-train vehicle?
Yeah, I
on
mean
the
now
track
they're
is a Bronco.
F-150s, but they used to be the little seesaw.
Right,
push
like
things.
in Old Brother Where Art Thou, you had the old blind man
yeah.
who's like,
Yeah,
just
Bronco
going
in the
along.
canyon.
Train
So
facts.
a bunch of these fucking F-150s go by on the tracks. They have the little yellow lights on, and I look at the guys in the trucks going by. There's like 4 people per truck, and they're all in white, and it's a fucking hazmat crew. And I'm like, whoa, cool. So, and not a lot of people have ever worked on trains, but the littlest tiny.
At least 8 people have worked on trains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The littlest tiny thing around the yard there is taken with the like biggest precaution, or like it's such a big
Sure, it's a
deal.
union
You
job,
gotta
so
do
everything's
fucking one light bulb.
Safety, yeah.
So if there's 8 dudes in a truck, that's not like necessarily a huge emergency, a huge hazmat thing. It could be like a bird hit the windshield or something. This was not a bird or a person
Oh,
or
that's
people.
good.
It was a rock lobster.
So this Series 6 train, not the same train that fell off the tracks, but the same series. There were 6 of them. Now there's 5. This train comes around the corner, and typically they're painted green with a brown stripe and then a white bottom. When it came around the corner, it wasn't really any of those colors. It was mostly like red and black.
Never good.
Oh,
Never
that's-
good. So we, of course, drive our truck down the track, like out of the yard and through the streets to go get closer and look, because we can't do any work till it gets here anyway. And we get close enough to see the hazmat crew all over the engine and the first 2 cab cars of the passenger train, wiping off blood from the windows and like power washing it down.
Jesus.
I'm like, what the fuck is this? And then one of the guys gets between the 2 carts and pulls out a hoof
Ooh.
and throws that over, and then there's a horn somewhere. This one dude's wiping a window, and the person's face becomes visible as he's wiping the window.
Oh, that's
It
fucking
sounds
horrifying.
like a wonderful horror movie shot. Just be like,
Yeah.
face.
So we're just standing there, just like, wow, this is ridiculous.
Well, this is fucked up.
And they cleaned that thing within like 15 minutes flat. It was sparkling.
So
And
fast
it
you wouldn't
ro-
believe how many
it-
times it happened.
Yeah, and it rolls into the station, and everything's all well and good, and you would have never known that this train was covered in blood. And what we found out later is that it came up from Oregon to Seattle. Oregon farmer had didn't close his fence, or his fence was broken, or something happened, and about 30 cows were just standing in the middle of the track, and the train came through just back at it, and then just
I mean, I wonder what
it was the most blood I've ever seen in my entire life.
Oh, imagine being like the conductor, just like it'd be like a tidal wave of
Yeah.
red and hoof coming at
Imagine
you.
being a passenger, and I mean, I hope that the guy got on
And
the
it's not even an
intercom.
immediate clear to red. It's like slowly cascading
you're
blood.
sitting there
yeah,
looking
yeah.
out the window and you're noticing like it's raining, how the raindrops sort of like go horizontally on the window, but it starts to be blood, and you're like,
And just an eyeball just scrolls
is
past your
this a
fucking...
train to hell?
And if you ever want an idea about how heavy a train is, just Google train running into another train, and the sounds that makes are goddamn terrifying.
Oh my god, no.
Yeah, just tons and tons of unstoppable metal crashing into another tons and tons of unstoppable metal.
Yeah, didn't skip a beat ever. After that, I started doing some research, obviously, and the average, because I was planning on being a conductor and an engineer, because you get paid like $150,000 and get all and it's a
In
good
one
job
lump sum. And
if
then
you
they
can
have
get
you
it,
under
and then you get a
contract for
pension and
life.
all that stuff.
But you have to buy your own hat.
And you have to buy your own wooden whistle. It goes bloop, bloop.
So I started doing some research. The average train conductor and engineer run into 8 people a year from suicides.
That has a lot of negative psychological
you don't stop.
impacts. You don't stop.
No, you can't
And that's
stop.
the
You can't
worst
stop.
part. Is like I've heard of people who are conductors, and the rough part is that the people obviously want to not be on this earth anymore. And so they step in front of a train because they're definitely going to die.
Yeah.
But then the person driving the train is now scarred.
Impacted.
And scarred. And like I'm assuming conductors, there's a fairly high turnover due to that. No,
there's not. So there's a lot of betting to
They
be
love it.
one. And to allude to that point, I took the psych test exam type thing to be a conductor or an engineer, and it failed miserably. So I wasn't even going to be able to go to school or do anything, any training.
What was the psych test for?
It was just a bunch of just generic type questions, like how
Probably
would you
some-
feel if this happened? Or,
Probably similar to the police exam
Yes,
test that I
actually
had
it
to
is.
So I would imagine you failed because you care too much about people, or something? You would be affected by
too
horrible
much
things?
to be, because they don't want to go through the work of training, hiring, and
Right.
like pensioning you
All the
if you're just going to
investment.
quit in a year.
Yeah.
So anyway,
No, that's fair, but it's
Yeah.
also really fascinating.
it is
All right.
pretty. And I've met some of these conductors, and I just
Just
they're
ghoulish
just
men.
quiet. No, they're just quiet, dead-eyed people because they just stare at tracks all day, and nothing is ever different.
Just,
Unless somebody
just
jumps on
piloting an unstoppable murder machine.
Yeah.
It's a steel missile.
So, yeah, and I'll make this next one
Should have
fast.
gotten course.
But
No, but before we go on
Yeah,
to
yeah.
the next story, what was it that you learned,
Yes.
Dallas?
it'll be the same lesson for both.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay. So it's a two-fer with a single lesson. You
is
didn't
a
learn it the
two-
first time. It took two
2
stories.
equals 1.
All right.
Gotcha.
So, different night. Probably, this is 7 years ago. So, fucking 4 months, 5 months later after this happened. Same situation.
Would you say that you had moved on from the first story?
Jesus.
I'm not even sorry.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't a lot to move on to. It was actually kind of fascinating watching him clean that thing. But the look in people's faces were great, especially when they were getting off the train and just quiet.
Yeah. Except for that one kid that was really fucking excited.
Jumping up and down. So, next thing.
I haven't seen that much blood since I went to take your son to work day at the slaughterhouse.
Can we keep it? Can we keep it? Just holding a fucking severed hoof.
Same exact start. We were just sitting in the truck by our like little cargo tool bay.
Smoking in your home, in
Smoking
your hobo
cigs.
den.
Smoking, token, joking, not taking
Yeah.
life too seriously.
Yeah, listening to the radio. Not the fun radio, but the one with all the train
Words
folks on
on
it. And similar codes come over the radio, the whole blood on the track thing, XYZ. And I looked at the schedule, and there's not supposed to be a train there for any, like 2 hours. So I know that people, it doesn't have anything to do with the passenger train coming in. There's like 4 trains in the yard at the moment, and they're all getting worked on and moved around. And I was like, well, that's not good. So we start to drive over there, and like I said before, in order to get to the main part of the yard, you have to go across like a 4-lane street. And we can't cross the street because of all the ambulances and the fire truck that's like parked outside, and they're all going through the back, and then there's flags all over the place. I was like, what the fuck's going on? Oh, I forgot to say, it takes about 10 minutes drive over there. So by the time we get there,
I see.
it's
There's
going
a,
nuts.
Like it's a fucking shit show.
Yeah, and the only thing I can see is a bunch of like paramedics running around and somebody getting lifted into an ambulance, and that was all I heard. Later on, I find out that one of the Amtrak union guys was underneath the train. And so basically how it works is I think there's 9 tracks. 2 are freight tracks that aren't involved, and the other 9, 2 are freight, 2 are passenger. The other 5 tracks are all kind of maintenance-y type tracks. You move everybody around and get things over bays.
Move a locomotive onto one track to make room for the other
and then
thing,
switch it
and,
over
like,
to the next.
change
and
direction,
decouple
yada,
and-
yada, blah,
yeah,
blah.
all this fun stuff. So essentially what folks would do is, you're in a bay and you work underneath trains, but like some jobs you can't have a bay, you need to be like right up next to it. Just you're underneath trains all night long. And this guy was underneath the wrong train that was not flagged.
Oh,
Yeah, so
That's
if
no good.
a train is flagged, you can't move it.
Sure.
There's
It's
so
like,
it
hey,
takes 20 minutes to unflag a train.
tiny squishy people are under this vehicle.
So he was working on track 4. He was supposed to be working on track 3. Track 3 had a flag train. Track 4 had a live train. So
Does that mean it was electrified? I don't know how trains work. I'm
they
kidding, I'm
have
kidding.
there's like 60 fucking batteries, as big as my head, and they're
Just
diesel.
about the size of your average
But they take fuel.
honeydew melon, I
Yeah.
would say.
Yeah.
You have a honeydew melon sized head.
And that's just the
Dallas.
electricity for the cars. But anyway,
I wanted to save this conversation for later. Your head is about the size of the average honeydew melon.
And that's the money melon.
It's true. It's true.
so he was working under a live track. What happened was he was trying to replace a part that didn't need to be replaced. The train started to move and cut off both of his forearms.
Cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
So he,
Above or below the elbow, do you know?
from what I heard, it was pretty much like crushing
Right.
the elbow. Yeah,
right at the joint.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that's
because
the
he was
worst.
under so the way it was described to me is one arm is wedged next to a tire, and then the other one is up on top because the part was like right above the inside
Yeah, he's
back
just like
of the
reaching
tire.
up there.
Yeah, and so by the time this arm was gone, he didn't have time to pull out the next one, so it was pretty rough.
What about his third arm or fourth arm? Were they
His-
using all 4 arms?
So this guy's lucky not to get his head cut off.
Yeah.
He gets hauled away. I have no idea what his name was or if he lived. But they also found a bag, Ziploc bag, full to the fucking brim of glue removal chemicals, basically. So he was huffing. Not glue. He wasn't huffing glue. He was huffing the
Huffing-
chemical
he was
that
huffing
removes
paint
glue.
thinner,
Yeah,
essentially.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So probably not
Ooh.
of sound mind at the
No.
moment.
It's easy to mix up 3 and 4 when you're huffing a Ziploc baggie full of paint thinner.
Chemicals.
Yeah.
So I've heard, and this might be completely apocryphal, but I have heard that with certain like pressure severing injuries like that, where it's a train wheel that removes a limb, the pressure that is required and that like say you lose your arm under a train, the pressure that the train is exerting in a way seals off,
Cauterizes it almost.
cauterizes the wound itself. So it's not
So
like
he may have lived. you're
yeah,
saying.
like it.
Depends if it's a
Okay.
crushing or a ripping effect.
Yeah,
Probably
so
crushing.
not to get too graphic, but if you lose a limb through tearing or explosion, like if it's an explosive injury, you're going to be losing a lot of blood. Whereas it's like with a train wheel, it's steel on steel, and it basically just kind of cuts it off, and so it seals the wound in a way. So in a lot of
pressure, you have heat, and you.
Well, and imagine.
But also, I mean, the train was moving very slowly. I don't
But
know
still,
if that factors in. But my point is that one, yes, with pressure comes heat, but two, it's a better form of losing a limb because you're more likely to recover faster
Right.
from that because you're oh sorry because it essentially seals the injury shut, and so you're not losing a whole bunch of blood.
It's like how when I working in a kitchen, when you cut yourself with a sharp knife, it hurt. Yeah, a sharp knife, it hurts less than getting cut with a unsharp knife because it's a nice thin, just clean cut, basically.
Right.
That's, I think
with
that's
a dull
what
knife, it tears your skin.
Exactly, it's a rougher
bad time.
injury. Yeah.
Yeah, and the last little semi-interesting tidbit I have is when I was flagging up a train, I found a shoe, and I kicked the shoe, and the shoe wasn't empty. There was a foot severed at the ankle inside of the shoe.
Was it a Converse?
Sock
What?
and all. Yeah.
Wow. I have to know what kind of shoe was it.
It was something Skechers. But
of course.
it was
the saddest
Yeah,
shoe.
it was white, but it was so blackened by who knows how long it's been out there. But it was on the freight track, so I'm assuming that a freight train hit somebody.
Oh, God.
And you know how like when you get hit by a car and your shoes come off?
Yeah.
It's different with trains. It just takes
Your
the whole
foot.
foot.
Oh, Jesus
Yeah.
Christ. Did what came up? You just kicked a shoe and you're like, oh, that was a foot. And then
I told
moved
my
on with your
supervisor
life?
about
Oh.
it, and he was just like, just leave it there.
Put it in lost and
An
found.
animal will take it. Like there's no point.
You mean a rat? A rat will take
Yeah.
it.
Return it to the earth.
Sketches. Return to the
Fuck. So what did you learn?
So what'd you learn?
Yeah.
So, you know how you see people running across tracks and trying to run the things with the cars and everything?
Yeah.
Don't fuck with trains, dude.
They will fuck you up.
Do not care and will kill you.
Remember, kids, mass always wins.
Yeah.
Science.
I mean, you don't know it until it's kind of like, well, maybe not for everybody, but the first time you're standing next to a horse and you realize like how big and powerful they are.
That they could fucking kill you.
And they can fucking
fucking terrifying.
yeah. And then the first time you stand within 2 feet of a train while it's moving at 1 mile an hour, it's scary shit.
Yeah.
So if you're not used to it, so don't fuck with trains at
and
all.
I've heard the
please.
fact that it could take a mile for a train to stop.
Several.
Oh yeah,
It can take several miles.
several miles,
Depends on how fast
and
you're going, how much weight you're pulling.
thousands, tens of thousands of dollars, depending on how quick you're stopping, because
That
all of
actually makes
those
sense.
wheels are solid fucking steel.
And it's just locking steel and steel.
Yeah, yeah, and that fixing that and routing out the time it takes and people to pay and all that stuff and the downtime of the train that can't go out the next day is there has to be a lot for it to stop.
So please, people, find a better way to kill yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Don't
Right.
don't interrupt anyone else's day.
Amen. I remember there
well,
were. Oh, yeah.
That was my story.
That was a good story. I like
Good
that.
one. It was a good couple stories
Yeah.
about how fucking terrifying trains are.
And now I know not to go looking
And-
into the train union for
And
a
I
new
didn't
career.
quit, but I did get laid off, so I'd probably still be there today. And now my cat is peeing audibly in the corner.
That's the loudest I've ever heard a cat piss.
He's a strong boy.
Such bladder control.
He's just showing off.
I have a couple stories. They're not all the same lesson or the same sort
light on.
of genre, but the first story that I have is when I was probably 14 or 16 years old. I got off the bus. I think I was 16 or 17 because I was going to running start at the local community college, and I got off the bus. And I had these brand new headphones in that were molded to my ear.
Ooh, fancy.
I saw it on the news. The news was like, do your children wear headphones? You should consider getting them molded headphones that fit in their ear. That way, it dampens noise and they don't damage their hearing for later. Blah, 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 you know.
Happy bullshit.
Happy bullshit. But I got these headphones that were like molded into my ear and they just like fit perfectly. They were beautiful.
That does sound really nice,
They
honestly.
were wonderful. And so
Can I interrupt you there really quick?
Yes,
Sorry.
go for it.
So anybody who goes to concerts a lot, it is completely worth the investment to get fitted earplugs.
Yeah, those fancy earplugs.
They are, and they have these little like this little slot in them to
let sound in.
filter noise. Yeah, let sound in and filter it, but also not damage your hearing.
Yeah, that's what a lot of musicians do wear while they're performing.
Oh, they're great. Continue.
Yes, my sister and brother-in-law use something a company called Earpiece, but they're not fitted, but they're like professional grade earplugs, and they are glorious. They're not expensive. Invest. Anyway, so I get off the bus. I'm digging with my iPod at the time, and it was the old transit center. It's now been demolished and replaced with a new and worse transit center. And this guy in front of me, he's walking along and he stops to tie his shoe in a weirdly conspicuous place. I'm like, that's really weird. And so I'm walking home. I have my backpack full of books. I'm walking along, and this guy, he's walking along behind me. And I'm, going along my route home, and he's still behind me. And I was like, I think this guy's following me. But what countered my, I am feeling mildly unsafe. This person is obviously following me. I was like, but he's not a white person. Maybe you're just being racist. You're just being racist. Just because someone is walking in the same direction, don't be a piece of shit, Alex. Don't be a piece of shit.
Indeed.
And so I was like, it's fine, it's whatever. And he followed me for a good, I think I lived at the time about 1.5 miles from the bus station. And he followed me for, I want to say close to 1 mile.
Wow.
And I'm like, it's fine. I'm
not a racist.
I'm not a racist. And so then I, like an idiot, take a shortcut through this sort of cutoff that exists where you kind of go up this really, really residential. It's like a 1-lane road that cuts through on the other side.
And I'm going to guess this is poorly lit and not at all in view of many people.
This was noon.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it was like 12 p.m. or 12 p.m. on an afternoon. And so I take this cutoff and I hear behind me and I get tackled from behind. And
Whoa.
this guy, he runs up behind me. In Burien?
Yeah.
He tackles me, and I go down because I have a backpack full of books.
Right. And you got
And
tackled from behind.
I got tackled from behind, and I'm like, but I have been studying martial arts for forever, and I feel, why couldn't I have defended my, because it was from behind, I had headphones in, I was wearing a heavy fucking backpack.
Yeah.
I
Everything
went
was
the
against you in that.
fuck down, and he's like, I'll fucking kill you, and I was like, oh, fine.
Really? That sounds nice.
I was like, oh god, and he took my iPod and my brand new custom fit AirPods, which was the worst part because we had just gotten them from we went to the ear doctor up on Capitol Hill at the Group Health up there,
Yeah.
where you go into a clinic and they fit you. They put goop in your ears.
They make a foam cast
They make
of your...
they make a rubber cast of your ear and then they mold. Yeah, and I was like, God fucking damn it. So he runs off. Oh no! Before he runs off, and this goes into the what did I learn? In that moment, I learned that I don't handle stress well because in that moment, I'm lying on the ground. I don't see this guy's face. He's telling me he's gonna kill me. He's taking my iPod. And what I say is, can't we talk about this?
No.
Yes. Can't we talk about
What about it? Let's talk about it.
Have you thought about what you're doing here
Can
with
we
your
write
life?
down an outline here first?
But like, you can take my iPod, but don't take my earphones.
Who hurt you, sir?
Those won't
right.
fit you anyway. As he's running away.
Wait, I have to give you the number of the clinic.
Exactly.
Here's the receipt.
Yeah. So I learned that about myself is that in moments of stress, I will say dumb fucking shit.
I don't think it's that dumb. I think
No.
You know, it's dumb. It's okay. It's dumb.
For a 14-year-old with no
16 to 17-year-old.
Still, probably not a lot of negative physical contact, I would assume.
No,
like
it's a
fighting.
homeschooler. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
One
even
time I
as
called
me,
this kid a bastard. That's about as much of a fight I ever got into.
the biggest fight I ever got into, or like physical altercation with another person by 16, was I just punched one kid once in the chest real quick, and then it was over.
Oh, no, that's exactly the same as my history of like getting in fights. I just tapped him in the solar plexus, and he got very sad because I could have killed him, man.
My guy tried to tackle me, and I got into a guillotine choke, which is a headlock and a body scissors because I'm tiny. And he was
Body scissors, what a guillotine choke, and these are words I don't know what they mean.
So a guillotine choke is a picture somebody running at you like in tackle formation, head down, not really paying attention where they're
Leading
going.
with their shoulder.
Yes. So you basically just grab them in their head in
Like a headlock, okay.
And then you hop up because I was tiny and this guy's tall and big and he was.
And you wrap your legs around them, and then you fall backwards. Or you fall forwards.
And then he falls on his own head. So you fall back for because eventually you want to
I've
strangle the life
never
out of
been
him.
more turned on. Anyway, so
That was my only fight. My baseball coach had to pull me
Well,
off
I do have rope, so-
because I didn't even know what I was doing and that I was actually killing him.
oh shit.
It's like no, just stop. You won. Just like,
Oh my god. So yeah, so I get, can we talk about this? And then he runs off, and then I call the police. My mother had just tried to call me, so when I tried to use the phone, it called her back immediately. And I'm like, that doesn't happen. She's like, why are you talking to me? I'm like, because my phone is dumb. So I call the police.
So am I.
And I'm like, the 911 operator's like, what did the person look like? I said he was either black or Hispanic. I don't know because they didn't get a good look at him.
right, and you were trying not to be racist.
I was trying not to be racist, so I was like ignoring the fact that he was not a white
I know this is
person.
exact thought that went through your
Yeah,
head. I can
you
very
know,
much
like,
empathize
don't
as a
be
fellow
racist.
white man.
So
So, but I talked to them and I said either African American or Hispanic. I don't know. They came up behind me. I didn't get a good look at them. So then the cop pulls up. The first cop pulls up and says, "Yeah. So you said they were a black male?" I said, "No, I said they were black or Hispanic. I wasn't specific because I don't know." They're like, "Oh, okay." Second cop car pulls up. So description: black male. No,
Jesus.
officer. Black or Hispanic. Could have been either. Did not specify. Did not see them. Third cop shows up. Black. No.
Is this where the black guy
Damn
is?
it. Then they show me like, okay, we're gonna have you look at a list or like a bunch of photos of people. Do any of these people
that
look
useless.
familiar? All black people. I'm just like, I God damn it, Burien PD. Fuck.
well,
So I learned two things. One, I don't handle stress well. Two, system is racist.
Yes, very much so.
oh yeah, especially Washington. But
Yeah,
Former Michigan
exactly.
State trooper, I can attest to that.
that Washington is fucked up. Yes.
I do
I
have
was
a
in
little
Michigan.
takeaway from that too, because
all
I
bad.
haven't actually had any I've never been attacked in public. I've never been robbed. I've never been mugged. But from everything I've seen and everything I've been told, the craziest person on the street is the safest person on the street. So
Yes.
if you are being followed for a mile, maybe just start walking backwards and making eye contact with them.
Oh, yeah.
And then just start running towards them and screaming. I don't know. 'Cause
I'm gonna eat your fucking legs, man. I'm gonna eat them up. Yum yum.
I got spiders in my brain, man. You don't know what I'm thinking.
Yeah, but of course, as a 16-year-old, I did not take that to heart, or
No,
at least
I
were
could
aware
see-
of that. And I wish I had the knowledge that I have now, then, which is one. There's three lessons. if you feel unsafe, you can take steps to make yourself feel more safe.
There you go.
I feel unsafe. I feel someone's following me. Do what you can to minimize that. Go to a public place. Walk to the police station and be like, I think this motherfucker's following me. Mm-hmm. Don't disregard your feelings because you're convincing yourself that what you're feeling is not true.
Right.
Definitely.
I like to say that feelings are real, but they're not necessarily the truth.
There you go.
But in those situations, you go with what is real, and those are your emotions.
Yeah.
Like, don't
Trust your gut, dude.
yeah, don't curb stomp a motherfucker without cause. But if you feel unsafe, don't disregard that feeling.
Right. Don't just like chalk it off as something, it's just my own mind or my imagination or shit like that.
Right. Yeah.
Or I'm being a bigot or what have you.
Beer and PD, racist a little bit. Let's read it.
What year was this?
I was 16 or 17, so it was 2006, 2007.
Okay.
You were born in 90.
Yeah.
Because I was as well. So, of course, it corresponds.
90, bruh. Get it? Yup. Okay. Anyway, so this isn't a story that happened to me, but it is a story that happened to my father. And my father hopefully will be on the show relatively soon.
Ooh, that'll be fun.
I'm looking
I
forward to
want
that.
to have him on because he has some fucking weird ass shit. My dad is a character, and I got a lot of my personality from him, especially my sense of humor.
Like him already.
Thank you. Is that because you think I'm okay?
Don't take it too far.
Just don't run with it like I want to.
I allow you in my house.
Perfect. So we were homeschooled growing up. It was a homeschool convention, which my parents used to be on the board of the Washington Homeschoolers Association for whatever reason. I don't know. Yeah, I'm really important, guys. If no one's ever heard of it, that's your problem. So it was a convention. It was hosted at the Puyallup Fairgrounds. And my dad was at this table, and they had these pens they needed to get rid of. They were like Washington Homeschool Organization.
Just like shitty big clicky pens.
Shitty big clicky pens. They were the worst pens. And no one wanted pens. He's like, hey, do you want a pen? No, thank you. Well, thanks for coming by. I'm like, hey, do you want a pen? No, I'm good. Well, thank you for stopping by. I'll see you around. Do you want a pen? No? Okay, I guess I'll just go fuck myself. So he got really bored of not being able to get rid of these pens, so he decided he was going to say some shit. The next person comes up. He's like, yeah, do you want one of these pens? They have built-in spell check. People are like, oh, wow, that's great. Sure. So like people started taking these pens. Because he was like, yeah, they spell check your words as you write. And they're like, oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah, we do some wild shit at the Homeschooling Association.
Exactly. Yeah, we have the budget. Said no one. And there was this two women came up. One of them bought it, hook, line, and sinker. Mm-hmm. She's like, oh, what? Really? These pens have spell check? He's like, yeah. Hey, check it out. He takes the pen, holds it up to his mouth, and he says, what's a word that you have trouble spelling?
Aluminum.
Aluminum. And he's like, oh, aluminum. Aluminum. And he like writes the word aluminum, and he's like, see? It works. And she's like, oh, wow, that's amazing.
Jesus, there really is a sucker born every second.
There's a sucker born every second. So she's like, wow, that's insane. He's like, yeah, let's try it again. We'll say, accurate. A-C-C-U-R-E-T. And they're like, wow, that's amazing. The science, the technology that's available, it just blows your mind. He's like, I know, right? It's a miracle.
And as
It's a straight up miracle.
And as this woman wiped off her sweat with her ShamWow at the unbelievable thing she had just seen.
Yes. And so, but she's buying it, and the woman behind her, who's her friend, she sees what's happening. And she is trying so hard not to lose her shit.
Of course.
She's like stifle. She's like, oh my God.
She's doing the good friend thing of like,
Yeah.
no, I'm gonna let you fall into this trap.
I'm gonna let you, yeah,
I love
because
that
she's getting
role.
entertainment from it as well, which
Oh, yeah.
is, you know. So my dad demonstrates this miraculous spell checking ballpoint click pen that says Washington Homeschool Organization on the side
That the state fair.
that cost literally 4 cents to manufacture. And she's like, wow, yeah, I'll take one. That's really cool. She turns around and walks away. She gets about, I don't know, 10 steps away. Then she stops dead in her tracks. She turns around with a kind of suspicious look. She walks back up. She's like, so what kind of batteries does it take? My dad says, double E5. She goes, oh, okay. Turns around.
Man, you really can just tell someone anything with the right amount of confidence.
And that's,
you totally
that's
can.
literally what I learned from that story is if you are authoritative and confident in what you say, people will believe anything.
Well, that's where we get the term con man from. It's a confidence man.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and there you go.
Like,
So what you learn?
I'm pretending
Yeah.
like I knew that and didn't just learn that right now.
Huh, neat.
Yeah, right. No, that is wild. And I've met your dad. And I could 100% picture him doing that.
But it's also where I get my kind of bullshit.
Your wry fuck you sense of humor.
Exactly. So every time I can say something with absolute confidence, and people say, "Really?" and I'm like, "No."
No, you've gotten me on a couple of those, and I tend to think myself as a fairly savvy person. Although the people that tend to say that are usually the dumbest, so who knows?
Well, it's Dunning Kruger. You underestimate your ability to know when you're uneducated.
Yeah, something like that.
Something. Yeah. So those are my stories.
Those are good stories.
Thank you.
It's good.
Yeah.
I told them myself.
I feel like I would just be the person who, I see what you're doing, and just take a pen just because he's like putting the effort forward to get people to take these
Just-
fucking things.
I
I
see you
got
want these
yep,
pens to
I
go.
see you.
Or you
Here we
just
go.
yes and them, and then you just start asking them all the random, like, oh, so what kind of batteries?
Double E5.
Is it
double E5
programmable?
batteries. It is not programmable. We're actually gearing up as a company to offer that capability in
Okay.
the,
Oh,
in the
gotcha.
next funding cycle.
When is Spanish and Chinese going to be introduced to the roadmap in 2020?
Okay, so Spanish and Chinese, Chinese is more difficult than Spanish.
Right,
So
well,
Spanish
you got Mandarin
is
and you
going
got
to
the
be
regular.
rolled out in the next 6 months. Chinese is about, I want to say 18 months away. We have prioritized Bosnian and Esperanto before
Really makes
Chinese.
sense. Before that, yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, I've heard Esposito
sorry,
is coming up really popular, so I hope you
Esposito
guys.
is super popular, and
Right.
it's actually the most commonly spoken language on the planet. So
I've
I'm-
heard that. I've
I'm
heard
really
that.
not sure why we haven't gotten that out initially, but with any software rollout, there's always some weird bugs.
Oh, yeah. Would this be an English to Spanish type of situation or a Spanish to Spanish?
It will be actually English to English.
Oh, okay.
So order now. Call no CODs. Only 3 easy payments.
When is the
$14.95.
self-riding model going to hit the market?
Why are
Do you
we
see
selling
what I
products?
mean? You see what I mean?
Yeah.
We can get you to buy anything. Speaking of
Exactly.
which, we're going to have merch coming up soon.
Well, I sell things for a living, so, well, I used to. Now I...
Yeah, we're gonna we are gonna have merch. We're gonna have blank stickers available, so you just put them somewhere and you write on it with a Sharpie. So would you learn?
I honestly don't hate that idea.
Those come with a Sharpie that says spell check Sharpie.
No, do one of the mini
SBS.
ones. Do one of the mini pocket ones. Like hang off your keychain.
Oh, man. Well, you heard it here first.
Heard it here first. We're gonna have buckets of shit for you to spend money on.
No, we're not going to make anybody spend money on it. We're just going to give it away.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, that's how you make money.
Anyway, thank y'all for joining
Yeah, I
us
think
on
that was a
this
good episode.
I enjoyed it because I was here.
And you were drunk.
I'm so drunk.
You're not really, though.
I'm not that, but I'm drunk.
We're not that drunk. We're not.
Yeah.
Anybody have any?
Zach, where can people follow you?
You can follow me on Twitter at Zach Kowalski. I don't have any pluggables right now. I'm taking a little break from the stand-up comedy scene, but when I get back out there, I'll let you know.
Yeah. What about you, Dallas?
I have 0 personal things I wish any other soul to follow me on.
I'm embarrassed enough I do this already.
Yeah, I want to deactivate Facebook, but you have to save your pictures one by one.
Yeah, it's very a pain in the ass. I've also been debating about deleting my Facebook, but
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. I never use it, so I never have the energy to go on there. And
yeah, I keep up
deactivate
on
it.
events and talk to
Me too.
you guys sometimes.
And I did buy Alice in Chains and the original Misfit tickets today. So,
Through Facebook?
well, I
Or was that a
heard about
segue?
it from Facebook.
Okay. I mean,
Yes.
I just use Bands in Town.
Yeah, I'm going to switch to that and then delete Facebook. But you can follow us on So WDY Learn podcast at Instagram and Twitter. Our email address is sowdylearn@gmail.com.
And you can follow me nowhere because it turns out my doctor diagnosed a severe social media allergy, which causes my organs to shut down. So I will not be on social media.
Well, see, the fun thing about this is we can just all vicariously live through joint media platform and not our own fucking bullshit.
Exactly. So, dear listener, if you have any stories you want to send us, we can read on our podcast.
Yeah, send us an email.
Send us an email.
You
at
can remain
SoWDYLearn.
anonymous if you'd like, or if you want somebody specific to read your story, we can make that happen too. If you want Dallas or Alex or I.
If you want us all to read it in unison, fuck yourself, because we're not going to.
That
do
might need a donation. Might have
Yeah.
to talk about Patreon.
Pay me money, and
we-
then we'll do it.
Put the effort forth. We could alternate sentences.
All right, let's just try it now. Let's try sing ring.
Telling a story?
No, let's do row your boat. Let's
right.
try and do that all.
This is the worst content anyone has ever produced. I veto this right now.
All right, I'm going to hit stop here in a second.
Okay.
All right.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Bye-bye.
The So What Did You Learn podcast is brought to you by the So What Did You Learn network. Theme written and recorded by Jacob Rose. Our logo was designed by Stevie Van Bronckhorst. Further work of hers can be found at stevievanb.com.